The offseason so far to me has been pretty surprising, to say the least. We have clear winners like the Lakers. I think Boston came out pretty good despite losing Marcus Smart. I think the Mavs did some great things getting off of Bertans' contract, retaining Kyrie, and grabbing some key role players. But some of the things that happened or didn't happen, in my opinion, left some stars in some pretty bad situations, at least temporarily. I'm gonna start with James Harden. In my last video, I talked about how important it was for Philly to retain James Harden because the market wasn't really flooded with talent such as a Harden, even at this stage of his career. I think everyone knew Philly giving him the max contract he was eligible for would have been stupid because he's clearly on the back nine of his career, but the guard market was so significantly weak that retaining him should have been priority. Reports were that James Harden wanted to return back to Houston, but Ime and their front office wisely passed on that opportunity. Even though I wasn't crazy about the guards they got and specifically the contracts they paid him, it was better than just James Harden. Once that option closed for Houston and Bradley Beal got traded to Phoenix where he couldn't create another super team with Kevin Durant, it seemed like it closed James Harden's market a bit. He was pretty much forced to opt into that last year of that contract with Philly where he requested a trade, and to me, either way it goes, the situation is kind of ugly. This is like his third trade request in like 3 years. This will be like his fourth team in 4 years. Him and Russell Westbrook, they're clearly having a former MVP team hopping battle. What team would comfortably trade for a sporadic James Harden on the last year of an expiring contract? Really, the only team is the Clippers. Next year for the Clippers really is like do or die because after next year, Kawhi Leonard can be a free agent. Paul George can be a free agent. Next year would be their 5th year in the Kawhi Paul George era where they've really done nothing. So getting James Harden on the last year of that expiring contract and pushing all the chips to the table, it does make sense. But one, I don't think that's a championship team. I just see injury galore, being honest. And two, they can all be free agents the following summer. So is it really worth hopping to another team, hurting your reputation further just for the same result? It's not ideal for Harden to me either way it goes. In my opinion, sticking it out with the MVP for at least one more year where you just had a fantastic year, you were one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, that makes the most sense. But speaking of the MVP, Joel Embiid, if James Harden does decide to leave, it will leave him in an ugly situation. Fresh off that MVP and fresh off that postseason meltdown and fresh off of your biggest rival winning his first NBA championship and becoming the best player in the NBA, it will be nasty to lose James Harden for some role players that don't really make you a true contender. Sure, it kind of seems like they're in the Dame sweepstakes a little bit, but by all reports, Dame, he has his eyes set on one destination, so I don't really see that happening. Sure, Tyrese Maxey can take another big leap like he did last year, especially with James Harden gone, but I wouldn't want what's left of my best player's prime and his best window to really win a championship dependent on how big of a leap a 6'2", 23-year-old guard takes. I don't like that. Last year, James Harden and Joel Embiid became like the first duo in 40 years to lead the league in points and assists. Even with his playoff meltdowns and even with his playoff inconsistencies, James Harden was one of the best floor generals all last year. James Harden was a big factor in Joel Embiid winning that MVP. Losing a significant piece like that, especially if he's not properly replaced, that's going to be huge for Joel Embiid. Next, I'm going to say Damian Lillard. Okay, we know July 2nd, the second day of free agency, he finally requested a trade from Portland. By basically all accounts and everyone reporting on this situation closely, Shams, Woj, Ramona Shelburne, Chris Haynes, it's Miami or bust. There's even reports that Dame wants to go to Miami so bad that he's warning teams against trading for him not named Miami, which to me completely goes against the character built from a guy like Dame. And if he was traded somewhere else, what exactly would he do? He's under contract for 4 more years. He doesn't have a no trade clause. He's not the youngest. And to me, he doesn't have any leverage. I understand the reports and I understand the narrative that teams should be reluctant against trading for a star that doesn't want to be there. But I'm dead serious when I say this. What exactly is he going to do? Pout? Retire? Leave all that money on the table? Like, what is he going to do? The rest of his contract is likely the rest of his prime. So he'll have no choice but to contend. Yeah, I see some people saying, well, Portland, they owe it to Dame because they failed him in the past to give him whatever he wants now, but I don't really agree with that. Sure, I believe Portland will try their hardest to compensate Dame's wants and needs and give him what he wants ultimately to Miami, but if it's not in their best interest too, they shouldn't do it, or they're running a clown show. We literally just seen in a 1-year span what Utah got back for Rudy Gobert. We just seen what Brooklyn got back for Kevin Durant, 2 great players and pick swaps. Why would Portland short themselves with arguably the best player in their organization's history? That's insane. Now, if you ask me where do I ultimately think Dame will land, it's going to be Miami. It's going to be Miami. But I don't think they have the most desirable players or packages to offer for Dame. So it's definitely going to require more teams to get involved. The question is, how long is it going to take? How long is this going to stall? If this stalled through the summer like KD's did last year, Dame's spot is pretty much filled with Scoot Henderson. How nasty and how awkward of a situation would it be for him to go back? Hopefully, for Dame's sake, this happens relatively quickly because he doesn't really have much time to waste. Pascal Siakam is one of those players that's clearly and actually provenly a championship piece for somebody stuck in no man's land Toronto. Basically everybody from that 2019 championship team is gone. Kawhi left, Kyle Lowry left, Fred VanVleet is now gone, even Nick Nurse is gone, and he's the only one remaining. But the Pascal Siakam situation to me is weird because his name heats up in trade rumors and trade reports all the time, but reportedly he's not really open to leaving. Like 3 weeks ago, Chris Haynes reported that he won't re-sign with whatever team that trades for him, which would obviously make teams reluctant against trading valuable pieces and assets for a player that can ultimately become a rental. It's not like the Dame situation. He actually has leverage. Now, why is this Pascal's approach? I don't really know, but I'm assuming it's financially motivated. I don't know if he wants to actually let his deal expire, become a true free agent and call the shots on where he goes. I don't know, but I'm assuming he wants to wait until next summer where he's eligible for a Supermax contract, which is significantly more money than the regular extension he could sign this summer. That makes the most sense because that is a lot of money. I don't know if he wants to do that first and then go to his preferred destination like Dame and Bradley Beal. I don't know if he's just that loyal to Toronto. I don't know. Either way, I completely understand and respect the business perspective from him. But as a fan, this man should be helping some team realistically reach a title, not being the only one left from a hanging run 4 years ago. DeMar DeRozan is a player that kind of gets forgotten about, but at this point of his career, I kind of feel bad for him. These last 2 years with Chicago were actually some of the best hoops he's played, and unfortunately, they've had no realistic shot at anything. Lonzo Ball's career, it seems like it's over, and oddly, it feels like he was the glue to that short run they had like 2 years ago. Zach LaVine, his name constantly pops up in trade rumors, and I don't know how long he'll last in Chicago. They retained Vooch this offseason, and I guess it's good because they didn't lose him for nothing, but I don't even know what that means because, okay, he's a good player, but clearly he doesn't move the needle for them at all. And the rest of Chicago's offseason, I mean, it was pretty mid, especially for DeMar DeRozan's specific stage of his career. DeMar is on the last year of his expiring contract where he will be going on 35 when it ultimately expires. At this point of his career and with his play style, I don't really know what team would badly want him, what team would trade for him, especially with the uncertainty of his prime remaining, what his decision would be next summer. And from DeMar's era of stars that he kind of came up with, he's really one of the only ones remaining that is still putting up great numbers, yet he doesn't really have a true chance at getting a championship. If you look at his draft, Steph, I mean, he's won championships and who knows, he may not be done. James Harden, even if he stays in Philly, he still has a shot. Drew Holiday, he's won a championship and he still has a shot. Even if you look at the players in that 2010 era that DeMar DeRozan kind of came up with that's still in or near their primes, they still have a shot. Paul George, Russ, and Kawhi, I mean, they have a shot if they can stay healthy. Anthony Davis, he's won an NBA championship. Kyrie Irving, he's won an NBA championship. And to me, he has a better shot than DeMar. Anthony Davis, he's won an NBA championship and he's on a contending team. DeMar is the only one that's never got over the hump, and still right now, he's not really in the position to. Next year, he's going to be 34 years old, probably still putting up great empty numbers. He's been a perennial all-star. He's never made an NBA Finals. And where Chicago is right now, he's not going to get that chance, at least next year. And to me, that kind of sucks. If you guys like this video, I'm going to do the best situations next, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully Dame can get traded soon, Pascal Siakam can get moved, and we can have some certainty with this off season, because right now it's kind of on standby. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys, and until next time, as always, stay tuned.